program for today. There's at the moment 184 people logged in, but we are awaiting a lot more because we had 500 spaces and we were sold out. So that is a great attendance. A lot of people have been asking if they could join, but we are recording this webinar, and the recording will be put on the APS website, on our website, as soon as possible, so everyone can watch this webinar, and it is for free. And after having the AGM last month through a different platform, it was through Redback, and it was a bit of a disaster. The APS has decided to start using Zoom. So we are in a new platform today, the Zoom platform, and we're very happy to try it out and to see whether you like it and whether it's better than the way our previous webinar was managed. Because of the technical difficulties, the recording of the AGM will not be published on the website, but the recording of Damien's webinar about hearing problems will be put on the website this week. We finally got the recording and we'll put it up. So I want to say a big thank you to the APS, because the APS has been going crazy by rescheduling everything and trying to organize everything. And then we asked them, can you please organize this webinar for us within 10 days? And they've managed to do that, and we're willing to accommodate this, and we're really, really thankful for that. So thank you for doing that, team. We've got with us Melanie and Sasha from the APS that are helping us in the background, and Sarah is our main host. So we have at the moment some difficult times. Everyone is locked in their house. We're trying to manage seeing clients. We're trying to make a transition to online working, and that's what this webinar is about. How do we do that? And last Saturday, the EMDR has hosted a webinar already on this topic, and today we hope to learn some more about the clinical side of using EMDR online. We've got a speaker, and after that we have a panel discussion in which people can ask questions, and we'll just have a bit of a discussion on what can we do, how can we move on, and how can we start using EMDR online if needed. We're also going to do a bit of an exercise. So for everyone that's not very technical, just get nervous, because you're going to be challenged. So during this presentation, Marjon will play videos, and we want to ask you not to record them with your phone, and we're going to ask our host to also pause the recording, and so the videos are not recorded. Then if you go to the bottom of your screen, you see Q&A. If you click on that, there is questions that you can type in if you have a question. So you can type in the questions during the webinar, and the Q&A is only for questions about the presentation or about EMDR online, not the technical questions. If someone puts a question in there, everyone can view that. So be mindful that if you type something, 500 people will see that you did that. But if you see a question that's really good, you can like it, and you can press the little thumb, like on, what is it, LinkedIn, or I don't know, Facebook. You can click on that, and that means the question gets upgraded. So if a question gets a lot of likes, it will be more likely that we'll ask that as a first question. Then on the right side of that, you see a chat box. If you click on the chat box, you can chat there, and the chat box is only for technical problems. Our APS team is going to manage that so we can concentrate on the presentation. So if you have any technical difficulties or questions, you can type them in there. They are only visible for the panelists, not for all the participants. And we've got, at the moment, 250 attendees already. All right. If you have no sound while Marjon is playing the videos, go to the bottom of your screen. There is a green bar. If you click on that, you can change your audio setting, and sometimes that might help. If it doesn't help, go to the chat box. Okay, then we go to Marjon, the presenter for tonight. Her name is actually Marjon, because she's from the Netherlands, so I can pronounce that. And Marjon and I, we know each other for a long time. We used to be colleagues a very long time ago. And when all this was happening with the coronavirus and, you know, not being able to see clients, trying to do EMDR online, as a committee, we thought about how could we organize a webinar? Who could we invite? And we invited some of our Australian colleagues for the panel. But when I was thinking about who do I know with the most experience on providing EMDR online, I thought straight away of Marjon. So I'm going to ask her to introduce herself, because she's better at that than I am. And I hope you'll enjoy her presentation, and you'll see me and the panel back after that. All right, Marjon.
Okay, thank you. So, hi everyone. Nice meeting you, and nice that you enjoyed tonight. I'm not sure if there are people right now from New Zealand, but in Australia for sure. I just heard 250 people already in. That's great. Well, you can hear my accent. It's Dutch, but I know that there are a lot of Dutchies living all over in Australia and also in New Zealand. So maybe you recognize it already. So English is not my native language. That will be clear. I am very sad I haven't been to New Zealand before, but I have been to Australia 20 years ago. And I flew into Brisbane and went all the way up with the Greyhound. I don't know if it's still existing, but yeah, to Cape Trip. And then I went to Mount Isa. I remember Mackay and even Camel Wheel. I remember it was only one street or so with one bar. I've stayed there for 3 days, and then up to all the way Darwin, Broome to the middle as well. And then Perth, Esperance, and well, you know, I've seen a bit of the country for 7 months. 2 years ago, I went there as well with my family. I've got 3 kids. You will see later on 2 of my boys in a video, so please don't record. Well, I'm working in the Netherlands. Well, I'm living in Madrid currently, but I'm working in the Netherlands and providing EMDR online and also psychotherapy and psychological treatments. I've started this 5 years ago, and it's very important to understand that today I'm only telling you my experiences. So I didn't do any research or so ever. But I've got some experiences in the last few years. So important it is, I started this 5 years ago, before the COVID, and this is where my experiences are built on. I'm telling you this to make contact with you, because when you're working online, well, in my case, I've never seen anyone I had a therapy with in person, face to face in my room, because these are people living all over the world. So it is impossible for them to have them in the same room as I am. Maybe you feel a little connection with me already. I'm not sure, we don't know each other, but this is what is happening online as well. If you have to see the setting. Every week you do a session, 45 minutes or 60 minutes. So you build a relationship. It's very important that it is for you possible online as well. What are we going to do today? EMDR online, why? Some results in my practice. I show you video of EMDR and how to prepare it, you know. Which client is suited for EMDR, and how do you actually do EMDR online? Yes, and also the bilateral stimulation, how and what do we need? Of course, you will see app reactions and dissociation, and it's very important, what can you do and how can you handle that? And I end with the difference between when you see somebody in person, face to face in your room, and the online session. And then I'll end with an EMDR online app, because 5 years ago, I developed and built an application, a web application, to offer EMDR online. All right? If I'm going too fast, just tell me so. Okay. Why EMDR online? Well, today everyone is locked up in their room, like Ariana said, because of COVID-19. And that's why, well, more or less the whole world is sitting there and thinking, what can I do for my clients with EMDR online? But in your country, for example, a lot of people live in the outbacks. So you might consider, if you're used to this all, that online working with your clients can be helpful for them and for those who live, well, not near a psychologist or an EMDR therapist. Some people I noticed are, for example, are in their beds ill and don't have the ability to go to see a psychologist. So this is also a big group of people who can be helped by EMDR online or by therapy online. Some people tell me it's more convenient. For some people it isn't, for some people it is, because they are in their house quiet and have the time to relax the way they want afterwards. So this is also a big group of people. Some people, they work and they can't go to your practice. So for some people, it is very handy. Well, I myself, I treat people who live, most of them are Dutch, and they live all over the world and don't have next door a psychologist or a psychotherapist who offers EMDR or who is Dutch. Because, I mean, your treatment, your therapy in your native language, it's the most easy to do and to receive as well. So for now, we are all together in the same situation, but maybe afterwards you're thinking, wow, maybe I can offer this a little longer, or maybe I offer both of them, you know, blended. I see people in my room, and sometimes I do offer treatments online or sessions. Okay. what did I do the last 5 years in my practice, Insight for You? I've seen, well, first of all, I offer psychotherapy, not only for traumas or PTSD. That's very important to remember. I used to see only children, and now I do see adults and also partners, or sorry, adults and also their partners, couple therapy. But I have seen some clients with trauma, single trauma, chronic trauma, and also PTSD or complex PTSD. Remember, I've only seen them when in video calls. I haven't seen anyone in the last 5 years in my room. So from the initial session until the end, I've seen these people in this way, because they're living in China, in Korea, they're living everywhere in the world, in Canada, everywhere. For children, I noticed that a normal session of more or less 60 minutes, it's very long. So what I do with children is 30 minutes, and then maybe I see them another time, or I email them, or I call them by phone. And furthermore in the week. And also with adults, sometimes I see some people 30 or 45 minutes, and a shorter one, for example, Monday the longer, and Thursday, I see them again. I use some questionnaires to see, okay, in the initial sessions, what is going on, and to see if there are PTSD diagnosis is correct. Well, everyone was starting at simple to say as a SUD 8, 9, or 10. No one left the room, the online room, with a 0, without a 0. So everyone reached a 0. Remember that I do EMDR normally in a psychotherapy. So it's not that people come to me for one session, for example, initial session, straight away EMDR, hi and bye and go. No, it is that people are in contact with me, we build a relationship, and then we do EMDR with a good plan. Okay. Yes. At the left side of him, I will tell about it later. And this one is in Dutch, but I've got something. I've got something for you here. You can't see it properly, maybe, but it's a control panel, and it's in English. I will explain it later to you. Okay. How do you prepare EMDR online? Well, you need to have a lot of things, like a big screen. So you need a laptop or a desktop or a MacBook with a mic and a camera. And actually your client as well, to make sure that the eye movements have the right size. Okay. I've seen a lot of times that clients need to grab their battery because it's not full. Please make sure you have it. Okay, it's loading, for example. Wi-Fi. Well, we can't handle always a stable Wi-Fi, but please be close to it and make it as stable as possible. So maybe you can ask, for example, the other people in the room, or I mean in the house, that they are not on the Wi-Fi, not using it, so that you have your session done with a stable Wi-Fi. You need, of course, a platform to video call, and if possible, with a share screen. There are a lot of around. Zoom is a very good one, and Zoom also allows the other one to show you as a therapist in small. I come to that later on. You need headphones in stereo for the clicks. And also it's very important that your client has his device raising up by, I myself have books, so that you're in front of your camera and in front of the screen for the eye movements. What happens a lot is that people looking down and you can't see their eyes properly, especially when they also wearing glasses. Therapists need a headset to make sure that they control the sound and to be closer to the client. Your room, your environment is very important. At this very moment, a lot of people are home. I mean, mums and dads, partners, everyone can be at home because we're locked up in the house. So make sure that you have a room where you feel private and where you can close the door, you know. Don't be, for example, in the living room with a lot of people in there as well. I've seen in the last 5 years a lot of situations like one of a sudden somebody is coughing after 10 minutes of session. So I thought, what is happening? Somebody else is in this room as well, and we haven't been, or haven't been noticed it, and we haven't been talking about it. So now I prepare, or there is a dog barking, or the doorbell is ringing because somebody needs to deliver a package and your client is the only one at home. But you have your SUD on top with the SUD of 9, and then this doorbell is ringing. It's always possible, of course, but remember that in your therapy room, you have the perfect situation. You know, you have all said and done. You have a quiet room, you have some water with it, etc. But the people are right now at home. I've seen a mom breastfeeding her kid because it was time to breastfeed. I've seen partners walking behind the client all of a sudden, and all these kind of things. I've seen some people in bikinis. So you need to structure your session, because nobody is coming into your therapy room, into your practice with bikinis, with swimming gear. But you do have to structure this when you're working with people who are home. Okay, something to be seen in the room of the therapist. Well, there are some people who are saying it has to be empty. I myself don't think so. If the people are coming to your practice, they see some things in your practice, maybe some books, maybe a plant, I don't know, maybe some curtains, maybe some pens and a desk and a table and all that. If you are online, you only see this part. So you're having a lot of contact together the whole time. There is nothing much to look at in the meanwhile. And you're not sitting like 45 minutes like this, you know? So I prefer that there is something to be seen although it is distracting maybe, at the same time, the client can look away from my face and see something else. The privacy again, so please make sure the client is alone, or if it is a child, maybe one of the parents is in the session. Well, I prefer the last 10 minutes, and sometimes, of course, the first few minutes. But if it's a very young child or not even able to talk, then then the parent is in the session the whole time. Check your light. So where is your sun coming from? How is the window? Because especially with people wearing glasses and it's full there, you can't see their eyes. And you need it if you're doing EMDR online. Okay? If possible, ask them to put down the glasses, because it's much easier for you as a therapist to see the eyes moving when they make eye movements. Of course, you need your EMDR standard protocol, and it's nice that you have it right in front of you. I remember one day, Ariana and I were working together. We've been working, I guess, for 9 years together. And she did EMDR for already a couple of years. And I was a starter. And then I said to her, sorry, but I can't find my protocol. Do you have yours? And she said, yeah, I don't know really where it is because it's all in my head. And I thought, in your head? How do you do that? But I mean, for now, it's in my head as well. I don't need it anymore. But just having it there, it gives you safety, you know. Mute all audio, because people are having these sounds when their emails popping in. And what you don't want is that the whole time you hear the sound in your session of an email coming in. I even had somebody's alarm clock going off when we were in an EMDR session right in the middle of the set. It's very disturbing, but we can laugh about it. I do have my smartphone on, my iPhone, because then we can call each other. Well, I call the client if something happens, you know. I've did this a lot when I'm working in China. They just kick off the internet the whole time because they're listening. What are we talking about? And that's why I called her on a smartphone. You need some tissues and some water, you know, or some tea, because normally you provide it in your practice. And now you have this. You have to ask the people, please make sure that before you have this said and done. A lot of people I'm starting with, and within 5 minutes, this happened earlier to me, but anyway, they say to me, I'm so sorry, can I make a coffee? But, you know, you're in the middle of a session, so prepare. And people need to, it's all new for us. It's new for the therapist and it's new for the client. So we need to make a plan. Also make a plan what happens, how to regulate, you know, what happens after your session, who is supporting you, what do you need, how do you regulate again. This is all part of the preparation of EMDR, and you're doing it before. So take your time and use the window of tolerance. I come to that later on. I always let people bring it to the practice. And in my case, it's an online practice. So have a teddy bear, have your favorite toy as you are a kid, or wear your perfume, you know, that quiets you. I also have, for example, a photo of your granny or somebody. I always have their favorite song ready. So we're talking about that. And it's a favorite song where they lighten up a bit, you know, where they can calm down with. So I have it ready and I can play it for them. I come to that later as well. So yeah, check what they are doing after the session. Do they have to go straight away to work? I mean, to the computer and do that? Can they have a walk? Can they sit on the couch doing nothing, just having a cup of tea and that's it? You know, check it with them. Well, it's not easy because it's a new situation and it's all new to us. I mean, it's not only for your client new, but for you as well. Keep calmness, you know, because right now your main goal is to stay in contact, just to be there for them, you know, that you don't leave them, although the situation is totally different. And we need to find a new way to keep in touch, to keep in contact. It's very important. The clients for EMDR online who are suited, well, actually, in my opinion, everyone, but they need to find some confidence to say, yes, we can try this. All ages are suitable and all kind of problems. Okay, so it's not like a group no and the others they can. Of course, those who already experienced face-to-face in your room EMDR, this is a group of people who already know how it works, and you know how they are going to react, you know, how they contain, how they regulate, what they need, etc. In your preparation, you need your window of tolerance. So you can give, you can speak about it together. What is it that you're going to do and what you're going to need to stay in your window? And how do you get back into your window? This is very important. So it really takes some time to prepare your EMDR online or your EMDR anyway. Don't forget that you have already built a relationship before you starting EMDR. You know, it's not like I said, one initial session and you're starting. No, you have built a relationship already. You see each other every week for a whole session. And sometimes you need quite some time to start your EMDR to prepare it. It's a new situation. Nobody is confident with it because nobody, or I mean, not a lot of people have experienced EMDR online and doing it, but actually do as you normally do, you know, be yourself. That helps, that people see, okay, she is she and he is he. There is nothing much for difference. Making contact, that is very important. Listening, doing the things you normally do, asking them questions, yeah, and be respectful and kind. Like I said, it is possible to provide EMDR online with children as well as adults. And if you are there to do EMDR, prepare a session. and I mean a technical session. So make sure that either you do this with them, so, or you're using an app, okay, and show them, okay, this is how it works, like, this is how it goes. Speed up the volume or speed up the speed, control the speed, etc. You know, so this is very important. Don't start. I myself right now I do, but it's because I exactly know what to do and I'm very confident with it. But before I did always a technical part of a session, you know, to show how it works. It's very important. And actually people are saying then, this is what we actually normally do. This is what we always did. And I said, yeah, it's nothing much of a difference. Well, my clients have maybe experienced EMDR in the room in the Netherlands before they left the country, you know. I myself, I worked with EMDR before these 5 years, like you did, in the room, doing EMDR face-to-face in person. Okay, if you start with new clients, do what you always do. So you're doing this intake, you're finding out what is the problem, what did you do before, have you been to a therapist before, etc. You know, there's nothing much of a difference. I always say, remember, if you wouldn't do EMDR face-to-face, you shouldn't offer it online. That's always. If you're saying this is a complex PTSD, or this is a child I don't do it, I normally don't see any children, don't do it online as well, you know, because now of the COVID, we want to help people, and there are a lot of people who need, because of their anxiety and all, they need EMDR maybe, but don't do it if you wouldn't do it face-to-face in your room. Well, you need to build a strong relationship. I already said it's very, very important. And yeah, and you need to make a plan. You need to make a plan for afterwards. What if it's a plan? What if somebody is in crisis? You know, what telephone number do they need to call? Who supporting them? Which doctor maybe or clinic they can go to? It's very important. All right. Is it still possible to follow? Okay, so children and EMDR online. It's a little different. I mean, especially with younger children. I do EMDR with children by themselves, more or less when they are 6 or 7 years old, depends on the traumas. But with the younger ones, like I said, the mom or the dad is there, or the grandmother, and 30 minutes, it's fine. Because normally you've got more toys or more material to work with, and now they're in front of a screen, you know? So, but it doesn't mean that you can't play. I often draw with them just to make contact. And then we show each other's drawings just in front of the camera. So 30 minutes are fine. I noticed that they want to show their bedroom to me, for example, or their pets, or their toys, or whatsoever. And that's a very good way to get in touch with them, you know, to make contact and build a relationship. So I have this structure as well. Every time I see them, I'm asking something about what they showed before, the week before. So it's actually something I do every time. Like, okay, I'm working on this project and it's with the stars and stuff this child is telling me, and then I'm asking about it and we start the session like this. It's very important. The parents are in the preparation part of the EMDR online. Very important as well, of course, because when you make a plan with them. Yes, so you make a plan, what do we need to work on, especially when the children are very small, but also with children until 18, and then how they regulate, how they can contain, what do they need. Maybe the parents, the mother, for example, herself needs EMDR. It's all possible and it's all part of the plan. So never start without a good plan. Are they in the room as well? Sometimes they need to, with young children, but the child needs privacy, especially when it's a very a traumatic story where the parents are involved, you know, like violence or stuff. And then, of course, what do they going to do after the session? That's part of the plan as well. And yes, I treat with, I don't know if you know it, I guess so, but the Lovett protocol, I use it as well. It's slightly different from normally. So I need a lot of preparation because the mom or the dad is tapping. In the meanwhile, offering the clicks. If it isn't possible for the child to keep the headphone on, then it's just out of the laptop. So yes, I offer the clicks, and I also make the eye movements with the child, whether it's following or not. I do offer the eye movements as well, but of course the butterfly hugs or the taps mom is doing or dad are the most important. Okay. Yes, so if you're doing EMDR, you use the EMDR protocol, and actually you do the 8 steps. Don't forget anything. It's, in this case, it's a normal, and you follow the structure of the EMDR protocol like you always do, you know, whether it's in your room or online, you need all to do this. Okay. And then if you are selecting the target you are starting with, and make sure every detail, actually the worst detail as well, are activated. What you see is that maybe you noticed that there are details not activated, that people avoid it. And it's very important to have the whole image, the whole memory activated. Using eye movements, I always use eye movements. I never, sometimes for epileptic people, but I normally use eye movements to increase the working memory load. You can shorten your sets to start with. There's nothing wrong with shorten your sets. And you can add more dual tasks, you know, like the clicks and the butterfly hugs. Yes, so you're in there together, and that is very important that you guide your client like you always do, and you're in there together. And there is nothing like a running contest or something. You've got the time. that is very important. Normally I lower my voice a little, and to speak very calm, you know, so that that the client is feeling safe, and also that they can see my face in a small part, and that they're fine. Okay. Yes, so you have several dual tasks. You have these complex eye movements. You can easily use your fingers. I mean, I'm not sitting right now, I'm not sitting fine, because then you have to turn your laptop some little so that I'm not in the middle. You can use an app as well, but the fingers will do too, to make sure that they can make the eye movements. You've seen in the video with my son that he was making eye movements not horizontal, but diagonal. This is also something that is possible. The clicks you can use by headphones, and I'm using eye regular, you know, so click, 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 for example, you know. So I don't use a click, 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 click. As well, the butterfly hut, they can be used especially here. And you can do 2, 1, you see? And then in the meanwhile, if you need it, they can step their feet on the ground regular. So you have a lot of things you can do, and to ask them for, to make sure that this memory or this image is losing vividness, you know, and emotion. Spelling words, I've got a little video of that. It could be triggers. So I'm asking later on in the video to spell the word dog and to spell the word bite, you know, because of the child is bitten by a dog earlier. I will show it later on to you. Okay, make sure that if you're using an app, it's possible to control the speed and the volume so that you have control of it. Sometimes you need to clap in your hands, like to make sure somebody is coming back. I get to that later to you, and say the name of your client. Okay.
Marjon,
Yeah.
a lot of people are asking, why does it need to be irregular? Why is that better? Can you comment on that, please?
Yeah, for sure. Well, you know, with a lot of people, like single traumas, it's enough if you do eye movements and supply also the clicks. But when you have complex PTSD, and I come to that later, and people go into dissociation, you need to offer more. So you can, first of all, offer more dual tasks, you know, and second of all, you make you need to get the brain not in a situation that it is predictable what is coming up. So that's why you're offering irregular clicks and also irregular, well, taps on their lap. It's possible too, because my clients are doing like this, and I see that they do it and I hear it. But the butterfly hugs are fine, you know. And this is also for the spelling words, for example. If you add another dual task, you have 2 or 3 or even 4 dual tasks, and they don't have the time to dissociate. I don't know if it's answering the question.
Yeah, I think it is based on the working memory theory, as you were saying, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, this video is in Dutch. He's making his eye movements, and in the meanwhile, I'll let him spell these words. Okay? Yes, how to handle app reactions and dissociation. Remember, clients do have overwhelming targets to process. That's in your room, face to face, and that's also online. And don't forget, we can handle them. You know, you've been working like an EMDR therapist, and you have experienced this already. It's the same. Well, you will see it's the same online. So it's very important, first of all, how they contain and how to regulate, how they do that, you know? Your voice will guide them through. You're not in the same room, so they don't see the whole body, but yes, they do hear your voice and they see your face and a part of your body, and you can guide them through. So if you stay calm and respectful, then they are much calmer as well. You can tell them, keep this image in your head while doing your set. So make sure that they don't lose it. I often calm them with during this set with words like, you are right now, right in here, you are safe. You are here in this room and you are safe. I do give extra stimulation, dual tasks, like these 4 or 5 I've been talking about. So primarily, I do eye movements, and then I add the clicks, and then I let them do the butterfly hugs. And maybe I let them, because they can't walk, because it's online, otherwise they lose the computer side. So I let them tap their feet. And if I need it, I add some spelling words. This is a lot. So you're talking about people, it's a small group of people who need 4 or 5 dual tasks. Besides, I shorten the set, you know, to limit the associations. Sometimes, for example, 20 seconds, I do. What I also do is to slightly open the curtain so that they have a view of like this to the image, and then I let them close the curtain straight away again, because out in the open, full in the image, it's too much sometimes, you know. So 20 seconds, sometimes 15, sometimes 25, but I don't do always 45. And of course, you can make sure that they don't associate at all or hardly. So going back to target straight away. What helps them is if you clap softly in your hands. Sometimes I use a little bell. It's a small one, just to make some noise, to get them in again. And I say the name. I say, for example, Linda, you're very safe. You're right here, right now. Okay? You're not in danger. Even kijken. Yes, sorry. You have some time left in your session. Make sure for that, not that you end 3 minutes before you need to disconnect. And then people are feeling very insecure and all that. So I at least I have 10 minutes left to calm them down. Sometimes I do some mindfulness with them to reset again, you know. And I always give homework, just report what happened that day with you, your emotions and all that. And the day after, your body sensations, emotions, your thoughts, everything. I will always be available by email or phone for them. And sometimes I see them like Monday or Tuesday, for example, or Wednesday, and then Thursday or Friday, I have this short session, 15 minutes, for example, and then we're having this short session just to report what is going on, how can you handle, etc. How can you regulate if needed? Okay. So yeah, you try to let them overcome their fears. What is the difference between seeing somebody in your room in person and in the online room? Well, there isn't much of a difference. Of course, you are you are in not with your whole body. You are not there, but there isn't much of a difference because you can calm your client down and also have a strong relationship in this way. You're offering actually the same EMDR session, you know. The session EMDR is exactly the same. The setting is different, but the session is the same. And don't forget, you are a EMDR therapist and you have a lot of experience already with your clients offering EMDR. Yes, there are clients who don't have the benefits from your EMDR therapy. But this can always happen. This can happen in your practice in your room, and this can also happen in your online room. Important to know, it is not because it is EMDR online. You know, there are people who are very afraid of not avoiding the things they are avoiding for a long time. This is not a difference for them if you're doing it in your practice. Because you're always, as normally, you guide them to the best you can, you know, and we're in there all new. So to make contact, to stay in contact and to don't lose the relationship with them, you know, you build already, that is very important. So you might set your goals a little easier or a little lower, that you can say, okay, this is the most important thing. And when we're used to it, we can do EMDR as well. You see? So yes, I've been developing and designed an EMDR online app to provide EMDR online, and it's working very well. It is possible in the app to offer 2 or even 3 dual tasks. This means eye movements and also the clicks and also some spelling words. The therapist has a control panel. I will show you right away. And the therapist will see the client on full screen. It's very important. You know, the client will make eye movements on a full screen, and it is possible for them to see you as a therapist in a small size. You know, If it is not possible, because not every platform of video calls offers this, but if it's not possible, then it is possible to put their phone next to their laptop, for example, and see the therapist on their phone and make the eye movements on full screen on their laptop. Okay. I've got this video, a live demonstration of the screen of your client. So I make you a client, well, not a real client, but a client, so that you can see what your client is seeing. All right?
Just, Marjon, just to clarify, so what we're seeing now on your screen is the therapist side.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what we're going to practice now is the client side. So we are all clients.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you're going to practice with the 285 clients at the same time.
Okay, no worries. Okay. Sorry. Just to make sure that I'm in there. Right. What I'm going to do is to put in the chat a link. It's a website link. Just a moment. Because if you click on that, it will ask for a code. Can you see it or not? Or can anyone copy it?
Sorry, it's Sarah here. I'm just going to send it out to everybody. One moment.
Perfect. Yeah.
So if everyone just navigates to the chat box down the bottom, it will be sent to everybody. It should be flashing for everyone.
Perfect. I will write the code to you because you need to fill in the code. Yep. There you go. So it's a capital I.
So is everyone opening the link? Just right click on it and open it, because this is your practice run. Get your anxiety up. We don't have the code yet. I think, Sarah, can you share it with us? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, so it's a capital I, the first one.
And just to note everybody that Zoom won't allow you to copy it. You will actually have to physically type it into your web browser.
Okay.
How is everyone going? Are you in? Can you let us know in the chat box? Gail was asking Marjon, where do you put the code?
Yes, in this, just right in the middle, it's asking a code and you put it in there. And then you click on start and you see a ball.
some people are in. Can you see how many are in, Marjon?
Yes.
Wow, that a lot of technical people here.
Cool.
A lot of people are in. Oh, that's great.
Okay. I can't see the code anymore.
I have the ball. I've got the purple dot. I'm seeing a purple spot.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
Can you type in the code again, Sarah?
Yeah, 1 second.
It's 1 for you minus 2
Yeah.
7
Capital
1
I.
2.
Okay. Yeah. If you're on the phone, it's not so easy. Okay, shall we start?
Yeah.
Or are people not in?
Yeah, most of them are in. Let's start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're seeing the client, what your client is seeing if you're using this app, right? So the eye movements can be made, and you can control the speed as a therapist, slowly, fast, somewhere here. And then also, this is horizontal, you can go diagonal, like this. Mine isn't moving.
Mine isn't moving.
Isn't it moving?
No,
Really?
it's not moving. No. Maybe it's because you have too many clients.
I'm not sure. I'm going in another time. Yes, you need to fill in a new code, I guess. I'm not sure if this is working.
Could I maybe suggest if you can you share your screen with what you're actually seeing, and that may
But this is the
opposite way.
side of the therapist. Well, you want me to share it?
Oh, I can share it.
Yeah, you want the new code?
Yeah.
So it's starting with the same. And then the 4 digits are 8940. You've got it?
No, I think your server is a bit shocked. It says server offline.
Okay. Okay, unfortunately. Sorry for that, guys.
Okay, maybe everyone can close their links. Or you can do some questions and then your server can calm down.
Yeah.
How's that? Okay, so can everyone log out? Just close the web page.
Yeah. We're done, guys. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Marjon. That was a great presentation and some very interesting things. Like when you do EMDR online, you can actually do intensive EMDR quite easily, like plan a session every day or a few days a week. It's much easier to do that. No flights, no accommodation. Yeah, and it was very interesting to hear about your clients in bikini.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to ask the panel to share the videos so everyone can see us. So Sarah, Hugh, and Mark, can you share your videos? There's Hugh. Sarah's coming up, and Mark, yeah. I think it would be good if we just introduce ourselves and share with all the participants our experience with EMDR online and a little bit of feedback on the presentation. Sarah, can I start with you?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. Welcome this evening. I'm really comfortable, I guess, working online, and I work with adults and children, but my comfort is in working online in the stabilisation phase and the integration phase and doing intensive and complex work in the trauma processing phase. I am learning that with you. But I love the presentation tonight. Thank you, because it's given us all, I think we just have to believe that we can do this, and it's no different. And once we get over the technology hurdle, like we've all done in the last week, and we've met our clients online, we've gone back to stabilisation, we're now into that trauma processing phase again, and it's really exciting to see that we can do this, and there's so many options. So thank you for sharing and giving us all hope that we can continue our work.
Yeah, and Sarah, you have some videos about your experiences on YouTube as well. If you Google Sarah Schubert EMDR online, you can find some of your videos. Yeah.
Thanks, Ariane. Yeah.
All right. Hugh, can you introduce yourself?
Well, I don't think I should be going next, but I'll make it quick. Look, I've done very little online EMDR, and it was quite a while ago, and I really didn't know what I was doing. It was just in desperation. A client who was known to me, and I was doing it on Skype, and I really struggled to try and get further enough away for them to get decent eye movement and things like that. But it was an attempt. But I'm just very fascinated by the developments of people from Northern Hemisphere are doing with this, and it's really opening up a new vista. And you know, Sarah's email, sorry, on YouTube clip was brilliant. But I think Mark's got a lot more to say about this.
Well, I'd like to first of all say how much I enjoy your presentation, Marjon, and what can I say? I think what you said about having a relationship is very important, and that's what makes it safe for the client and for us. And for the few bits of EMDR that I've done online, reflecting on it, I couldn't have done it without that, because that's how you know who you're working with and where they're at and what they're capable of. So that was a really good point, and I just emphasize that. Congratulations on a great app. That is just fantastic, and you've obviously put a lot of thought into that, and it makes the whole process very smooth, and is going to fit very well with, I think, how a lot of us are going to be working in the future. And I agree, I've been working now online for 2 weeks, thanks to the COVID thing, and I've been amazed at how similar it is to having the client in the office, and how little seems to be lost by not having them there, a lot less than I thought would be. So that's my feedback. For me personally, I have one thing just to share, if it's helpful, is I always send clients a questionnaire before I see them, whether it's online or in person. So I have the story, I have the narrative, the data in front of me. So when I meet the person, I kind of got a bit of a heads up. I don't know if you do that or thought of that, but it's very helpful. And however much or little information they give you is always diagnostic, because some of them fill in pages and some of them just fill in very little, and that kind of gives you a bit of a clue about where they're at.
Yeah, because
So-
that's one of the things that everyone always asks about online EMDR. I mean, do you get a relationship with clients, you know, when you're not physically with them? And what you're actually saying, Mark, is that you know, by doing it and experiencing it, it's actually less different than what it seems. Yeah. Yeah.
Marjon, I haven't done the EMDR online, but I have done a lot of telephone counselling over the years, and I think it's much easier to develop a relationship when you're online. But even by phone, you can develop a relationship. And Sarah and others have talked about the importance of rising and lowering your voice and making it as if you're in the room with them. And I've also done a fair bit of videos, which was nothing to do with EMDR, and just using humor and things. And it's amazing if some people get into trouble, you know, just get them to go and have a cold shower, going outside for a quick walk. There's a lot of ways you can help defuse difficult situations. And so just very well done. I've enjoyed it very much.
It is. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to go through some questions. Marjon, can you demonstrate how you do the eye movements with your fingers? So if you wouldn't have an app or you wouldn't have any technology, how far away does the client need to be, and how do you move your fingers, please?
Yeah, well, I always ask them to be like 30 centimeters. I mean, closer, it's of course it's better, but it's a very light screen, so there's a very bright light coming up, and I turn actually my screen like this, and then I go and do this. And if they have a small screen, I ask them to put some dots at the side of the screen with paper, for example blue, I don't know, and then just to focus on it, follow my fingers and focus as well on the blue dots, you know, so that you make sure that you guide it like you want it to.
And what did you mean by the screen size? Like, how big should the screen ideally be?
Yeah, well, as big as possible, but I mean, I'm not able to tell them you have to have this or that. Actually, I did it with people on an iPad, and it's working as well, you know, because you can give more bilateral stimulation. But the best, of course, if you use eye movements, and I always do, is to have a screen pretty big. But once I had a lady, and she only had a phone because she was traveling over the world. And well, I could have said, okay, sorry, but I don't do it over a phone, or I'll help you with your troubles. And I did, and she had a good EMDR experience.
And what you said at the end of the session, you always take 10 minutes to you know, calm down or regulate or do mindfulness. And Mark, haven't you developed some apps for that as well to help clients regulate themselves or do mindfulness?
Yes, I've got a sleep app, a pain app, and an anxiety app, all of which incorporate audio bilateral stimulation. And on the anxiety app, it's also visual as well. And then the idea of that is not so much EMDR as it is for self-soothing. And then there's different mixes with music and guided meditations and what have you. And it's designed to help your clients self-regulate in between sessions and after sessions, particularly the anxiety app, very popular.
Yeah, because Marjon, well, you tried to demonstrate your app, but I think we were with too many clients at the same time. But your app is very well developed because you've been using it for years and, you know, improves it more. But if you Google online you know, EMDR, bilateral stimulation, DOT, or whatever. There's many people that develop things that you can use. But there's a lot of people asking where they could get more information about your app, Marjon, and you said it was going to be translated in English?
Yes, it will be next Saturday.
So how could they contact you?
I've put it in the email, but I will put it in the chat again.
Will that be on the App Store?
No, because it's a web application.
It's not a phone app.
Yeah.
No, it's not a phone.
It's not a phone app. Oh,
No.
Okay.
So it's inside insideforyou.nl.
Got it.
Sasha, you've got it.
Then this is a question I think a lot of people have. Like, I had a client tell me that processing memories at home would be too triggering for her, as home is surrounded by triggers of her lost loved one. How would you manage triggers in the home environment?
Yes, that's a very, because right now everyone is at home, so that's a hard point. Normally they go to a practice. Maybe it is possible to stay at least in a room where, for example, this relative wasn't there. If I understand you correctly, somebody died there.
Yeah, I think if the house is too triggering, like
Excellent.
normally you could do EMDR online in someone else's house or whatever, but with the COVID situation,
With a friend
can't.
or the neighbors.
Yeah, but what I see a lot of people do, like the GP practice here in my town, they do a drive-in for the flu shot. So everyone sits in their car and the doctor goes out and gives a flu shot in the car. And so would that be an option, that the client sits in the car and does the EMDR?
Yes, I've did it before with somebody who lived in France, and it was in the outback of France, in a little village. And she didn't have enough Wi-Fi, stable. So she drove a drive into the city, and there she was in her car doing EMDR with her iPad.
Yeah.
So yes, it is possible. Or you can maybe ask, can I can I stay for this session at the neighbors? Or with a friend or a relative or somebody.
Yeah.
Marianne, that can I just say that came up for me today in consultation about processing at home when someone was surrounded by triggers in the home, and it was to do with grief and loved one. And I think what we talked about today in consultation was looking at whether she could stay in her window of tolerance or not, being in that environment. And I think in Australia at the moment, having a decision about whether to process in the home, whether they can tolerate that, it's so unique and different for every client, isn't it? It's no textbook tick box thing. But at the moment, we do have the ability, and what we came to the conclusion today in consultation was that with this client and her level of risk, and she couldn't contain, and with her dissociation, it was better to get her to come into the office. And we still have that availability to do that at the moment if need be, and to see how she processes. And then maybe once we take the distress out of that first session, maybe the next session we can do at home. So there's still the option of coming in if home's not safe.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion, Sarah, and that leads me to the poll. I would like to launch the first poll question. How many of us are actually still seeing clients face to face? So I'm going to launch a poll now. Can you answer the questions? So are you still seeing clients face to face? Just get a bit of an idea. Oh, it's more no than yes. End poll. Now I want to share the results. Okay, wow. Yes, 33%. Wow. No, nearly 70%.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, wow.
So we're all going online. Let me see. Where's poll 2? So if you are not seeing clients face to face, can you answer this question? If you have, how many sessions have you done online? Oh, this is very interesting. Most between 5 and 10 or 10 and 20? Yeah, EMDR only, basic protocol, standard protocol EMDR sessions. Yeah. All right. Share results. Oh, that's pretty good. We're all trying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
And a few of us have even done more than 50 sessions. All right. Third question. Do you work with children? And that is also one of the questions. So when you work with children, do you set it up differently? Okay, 60% doesn't and 37% does. Okay. So what about working with children? Do you set it up differently, Sarah or Marjon? How do you play, for example?
It is, Marjon. I think it's getting that fun into the room. And thanks, Ariane. Exactly. Get them smiling.
Very important.
I love it. And when working from home, I've taken the same toys from my office. I've taken my doll's house home. I've set my office up at home. And I make sure that when I'm emailing clients before the session, knowing who the child is, I will say to the parent, can you please have a ball? If you have a slinky, make sure there's pen and paper. And my kids have loved me at the moment because I'm just trying to learn those online games, like whatever games you have in the office. Microsoft have them. You can play Uno online, like and virtual backgrounds. Kids love that stuff. And the setup is different because you're in their house. Like, you know, it's kind of equal. Like they're showing you around their home. You're meeting their pets and their family, and the setup is a lot more intimate, which I love. Yeah, play.
Yeah.
Then there is a question saying, is there any evidence base available for the efficacy of delivering EMDR online? Well, there is some research. It's not a randomized control study, but the research that has been done comparing EMDR online with face-to-face shows that it actually has the same result, but there's not a lot of evidence. And maybe one of the good things coming out of these COVID times is that a lot more research is going to be done on delivering EMDR online. But do you know anything about it, Mark or Hugh or Marjon? No.
I'm amazed that there's any at all, actually.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
There is a paper by Jay
Spence,
Spence, which I have one that prepared earlier.
What was that, Sarah?
There's a paper by Jay Spence from Macquarie University. But the issue with this research is it's not the EMDR that we're doing face-to-face. We're doing what's called synchronous therapy online, which is real-time therapy directed. It's exactly what you do in your office, but you're in two different locations. But this paper is a combination of EMDR and CBT, but it's asynchronous EMDR. It's a computer program led EMDR, so which is
Ah.
very, very different than what we're doing
Yeah.
here. So the effect size is smaller, but it's not face-to-face real-time therapy. It's a program. So have a look when you're looking at any research about online therapy at how it's actually being delivered. But there is no piece of research in this area where therapists are doing therapy from their home like we are. It's all from offices, and clients are in offices even. Not a lot of research where we're in our home and a client's in their home. So when you're looking at the literature, really get a bit critical about how it's being done, where it's being done. Is it real time?
So what about the light bar, Marjon? Can you use that in front of the camera?
Yeah, sure. You can put it in front of your desk or in front of your laptop, and then you're out of the sight, and then they follow the lights, and they change color as well. I mean, so this is a good one as well. It's horizontal, and it's for sure it is possible to use. Yeah, definitely.
Marjon, I use a light bar regularly. That's what both shoulders are gone pretty much. And I also tilt it both left and right. At times I'm now
cool.
tending, usually, it depends on the clients, how their preferences are, but ideally I will do one horizontal, then one to the left, and then one to the right, and then go back to the horizontal. Now, have you got any thoughts on that in your experience?
So far, no, because what I did was actually building this app very, very fast. Am I understanding you correctly? If I do this, what you do?
I'm not sure, sorry. I have a standalone light bar. It's just about a meter wide, or a little bit less, about 900 millimeters wide, and it's tilted. It's on a tripod, and you can tilt it.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, I'm not working. Yeah, I understand. I'm not working myself with a light bar because I straight away had this app.
okay.
But this is why I make these patterns, and there will be more patterns as well, so that you can switch like you do, horizontal, diagonal, and other things. Yes, it will work out very well.
Some of my clients who I'm starting to go and do online with say they want to do the same way because they've got good experiences from using it that way, so they like to continue using it the same way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and if you sit in front of your computer, it's, I mean, we're going to all have a shoulder injury because it's even more difficult. You don't sit with the ships passing in the night, but the light bar is a good option as well.
Yeah.
There's a question, how many EMDR sessions typically do you use for clients? Like how many?
Question for me?
Yeah.
Well, it depends. If you have single trauma, then it's very shortly. Well, I mean, 2 sessions, basically done. And this is only the EMDR. I mean, the preparation is, you need to do it as well. Complex PTSD, I select targets like all the intrusions, all the nightmares and stuff. And then after this, often go to, for example, the more deeper negative thoughts about themselves, ideas like worthless and all that, you know. So I'll first select the targets which are very intrusive, and then afterwards I do the negative ideas of them. Yeah.
And you spoke a lot about the different types of bilateral stimulation and the working memory theory. which is a theory that based on the space in the working memory, if a client gets really overwhelmed, you add more bilateral stimulation. So eye movements, and as you were showing with your child, spelling dog, or counting, or adding also the clicks. That is based on the working memory theory. So the more overwhelmed someone gets, the more bilateral stimulation you add. Someone was asking, can you explain how you actually use the clicks?
Yes, they're built in, but if you're not having an app, you can offer them in your, you can download a file with the irregular clicks, and then if you turn it on, they can hear it through their headphones.
Yeah.
You see, so they can make eye movements plus hearing the clicks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then someone's saying, can you confirm what Hugh said? You tilt the light bar for one set and then tilt it for the other set? Because that's also based on the working memory theory, that this is a boring task. So if someone gets overwhelmed, you can tilt it. But Hugh, were you meaning that you keep tilting it every set?
I do one set in one way, and the next set I'll change around. I will move it down as I'm doing it.
Okay.
As it gets faster, then I'll move it back up, and then I'll move it back the other way for that next set. I'm not moving it up and down.
Yeah, I myself sometimes change set for set, and sometimes in the set I change the rhythm. So I do 10 seconds horizontal, for example, and then I go this, and then I make mountains because it's built in as well.
Ariane, can I comment on if without an app? So if we're getting online, we're on technology and we're using EMDR and we haven't got confident enough to use an app or haven't got one yet. I want to touch on Mark's app as well. He's got some tone apps. But I'm using the butterfly hug, and during the sets I do move in, so clients look at my fingers either side, so I've got eye movements, and then take a breath. What do you notice now? And if I need to change the variation, I get them to tap for a set. So I'm keeping up the orienting response and adding the feet to it as well. But if you haven't got the technology or you're not confident with the apps yet, you can still vary the butterfly hugs. You can move in and add eye movements, looking at my fingers. Next set, do tapping. But Mark, I have tried a set with your app. So I've got the tones in their ears as well, which they control. So do you want to talk about, do you want to mention your app, and have you used it online with clients?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say that I don't know if people are aware that there is some research support for audio BLS. So my last pain study with 11 chronic pain sufferers, nine of whom had PTSD symptoms, was based on audio BLS, and about 7 of them, their PTSD was resolved, and similar numbers with the pain. So the audio BLS is quite effective. It's very easy to set up. I often get them to get the app, and they can get the free version. If they haven't got any money, they can get the free version of the Sleep Restore app, which has audio BLS on it. And as Marjon was talking about, I usually get them to be set up beforehand with their phone and some earbuds, and you're ready to go pretty quickly in the session when you get to the EMDR part, and it's very convenient and easy. And does that cover that?
I didn't know you had a free app, Mark. I thought it was giving you a plug there.
Oh, thanks,
Thank you for being so generous.
No, that's all right. That's all right. No, for sure. There's a free version of the Sleep app, which is so anyone can get that, and if you use the BLS, which I think has. I agree with Marjon on eye movements for trauma all the way, but I think the audio is really good for somatic kind of presentations.
Yeah. So to load memory, you can have your audios, you can have your butterfly hugs, you could, be getting them to watch the screen and tapping their feet on the ground as well. And with kids online, you do have to have a whole bunch of bilateral stimulation that you're flipping from balls and slinkies and stuff like that too. Cool.
Yeah,
Thanks,
kids
Mum.
get bored easily.
Yeah, so bored.
Yeah.
Marjon, I was very impressed that you limit your sessions to 60 minutes and that you have that 10 minutes that calm down at the end. And you nearly always get your suds to 0.
Yes.
So you're working very, very quickly, much faster than I am, I think. I'm just wondering, do you usually prepare for the next session in the last session to get the target memory and, you know, the NCPC, VOC and everything else already there, so that when you first start, you can get straight into it, and so no time wasted setting it up?
No time to waste. Actually, I'm doing this. I reach the 0 in 45 minutes normally, but I do have this reset time. I only have my target selection done because I actually never, how do you say this in English, drive them up to the mountain with the SUD9, SUD9, and then not starting. So I have my target image there, my selection. We know what we're going to do in the next session. And then straight away, I take this target in the room, and then I do the negative cognition and the positive one, and all that, the emotions and the body sensation and the SUD. Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's going, in my experience, a little quicker online. I'm not sure because I'm adding more BLS or because it's online. I'm not sure of it. But 5 years ago, I started only with the eye movements and maybe at the clicks, and now I'm adding more. But I do see a lot of clients with child abuse, sexual abuse, or victims of wars as a child, and also like human trafficking. So these people need some more violence.
Mark, everyone's asking about your app. Can you put in the chat box where to find it?
Yeah, so I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that.
Yeah, great.
Good.
All right.
I was just can I make a quick comment?
Yes, definitely.
Just I'd be very, you know, and looking back at the survey that you did, I'd be very interested to know how many of the people who aren't seeing people online is because they're afraid of technology, I guess, or just not comfortable with it. And I think that maybe for some people that could be a barrier, because I can see Marjon is very comfortable with it and most of us are. And it's something I think we have to embrace to go, you know, in the future in our profession and become comfortable with.
Yeah,
Isn't
I'm
it?
surprised at the number of people that have already done it. Because
Okay.
yeah, I think we're all afraid of it, of the technology, and you feel like you're not able to control your client because they're far away. You can't go there. You can't see them completely. You're depending on a computer, which is not reliable. So it gives me anxiety. Like this webinar gave me anxiety. Is my computer going to be stable enough? Am I going to stay online? Yeah, if this was a client, I would feel that same worry. And I think a lot of us feel like that. Yeah, but if I think of your videos, Sarah, you have that same anxiety, but
Oh gosh. Can I share I've had my head in this literature this weekend, and I think it's fascinating, this online literature. And what's super consistent in the literature is that as therapists, we rate our relationship online like a working alliance. We consistently rate it lower than our clients do. Yet the effectiveness is the same. So even though we think we're not, you know, being warm or empathetic, the clients don't perceive it that way, yet our results are just as good. That's kind of what the literature's showing, and it's about us. But I think if we think that our relationship online or the working alliance and we're not being warm and empathetic, the literature is showing that we still, in synchronous, like online face-to-face therapy, we're still getting as good results. So what are we doing? Like, we must be making up for, I mean, I'd love to see how many people are purely exhausted at the moment, because these online sessions are hard. Like, we're working really hard in ways that we're not in the office. And so we're making up for our, what is it, the schema, incompetency schema that we think we have right now. What do you think, Marjon, like in terms of, I don't know, like the relationship online? Do you think that we are, as therapists, are we making up for that in other ways, and how?
I hear people saying, I'm so exhausted and I need to look very closely, and as you do it longer, you will see that it's you don't have to work on that part so hard as you do now.
Yeah.
But you have to get used to it, and then you will be. Sometimes if the line is not so stable, that's a thing, but you know it, your client know it, and this will end the situation. I mean, I guess we're all, I don't know when, but in one day we're in our practice again, and with our clients just in our room.
Yeah, I see a lot of comments now in the chat box. Everyone's saying, I'm exhausted, never been this tired. That's why we're going to stop for today, because it's 9 o'clock here, nearly 9 o'clock. I see a lot of positive comments. Thank you very much. You've given me confidence, Marjon.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for a great presentation. So, I think we're all more confident to go and do it. And thank you very much for your presentation, Marjon. Everyone's asking about your slides. So you initially said you wouldn't make them available, but maybe you can reconsider it and just take some parts out. Hugh and Mark and Sarah, thank you for joining us in the panel. And do you have any last comments?
I think it's just fantastic that the interest group has been lucky enough to have you, Marjon. So thank you very, very much, and to all, especially to Sarah and Mark, who came along to offer there and share their expertise a lot to complement yours. And Ariane for a great job of convening it, hosting it. Well done and good. It's been a really good night. Thanks, guys. Clap, 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 clap,
Thank
clap.
you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And thank you to the APS team for helping us so last minute. It's been fantastically hosted. So thank you, guys. All right, we're going to stop for tonight. Maybe the panel can stay online while all the participants go and have a good nap. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Sarah?
Oh, yeah.
Host Sarah, I mean.
Oh,
Yes,
sorry.
I'm here.
Yeah. Can you still hear us?